Today, we're talking about the partnership that was just announced a little while ago that would have sounded like a fever dream 2 years ago. Apple and Google, specifically the integration of Google's Gemini into the Apple intelligence ecosystem. Let's get into it. Hello, this is John from the Execution Over Hype podcast, presented by Cezanne. We cut through the marketing smoke and mirrors so you can deploy the tech that actually moves the needle for your business. For years, Apple has been the walled garden of the tech world. They don't like letting anyone in. But suddenly, they've opened the gates for ChatGPT initially, and now Gemini. Why? Because the giants have realized that in the AI race, no one wins alone. But for you, the business leader, this creates a massive question. If the two biggest tech companies on Earth are teaming up, what does that mean for your data, your privacy, and your bottom line? Apple just isn't opening a window for Google. They're admitting that their walled garden needs a better engine to keep the lights on. Now, why is this happening? Let's be honest, especially about Siri. For the last decade, Siri has pretty much been a glorified kitchen timer. You ask it to set an alarm, and it works. Can probably send a text message too. Great. You ask it a complex question about your business's quarterly revenue, and it says, here's what I found on the web. I remember getting ready for a meeting a few months ago, and I tried to use the voice assistant to pull up a specific file while I was getting ready. I asked for the Cezanne Q3 pipeline. Siri gave me a Wikipedia entry for pipelines, as in transporting oil, gas, etc. Meanwhile, I can open up Gemini on my phone, and it can summarize a 50-page PDF and draft a reply in about 30 seconds. That huge gap is why this integration exists. Apple has the hardware and customers and install base. They have the Apple Intelligence Foundation, but they lack the massive LLM brain that Google is bringing to the party and spent billions perfecting. By bringing Gemini into the fold, Apple's trying to bridge the gap between privacy and utility. Now, for the business impact, you've been stuck choosing between the perfect privacy of Apple and the high-octane AI of Google, and now they're trying to give you both in one package. This is where things get juicy for enterprise users, the privacy battle. Apple's pitch has always been what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. But Gemini is a cloud-based beast. It needs data to think. So how does this actually work? Think of it like a high-security bank. Apple is the vault, totally secure, but you can't really do much inside of a dark vault. Google is the high-speed trading floor. Lots of action, but everyone can see what you're doing. This integration is like putting a secure window in the vault. You get the speed of the trading floor without leaving the safety of the vault. But don't be fooled. When giants collide, power consolidates. If your business relies entirely on the Apple-Google stack for its AI, you're essentially renting your intelligence from two landlords who can change the rent whenever they want. Privacy is a feature, but it's only a benefit if the product actually works. Where our future is headed, a secure phone that can't think is just an expensive paperweight. How does this actually impact your day-to-day business? It changes how you can communicate with your customers. Imagine a customer using their iPhone to book a service with you. With Gemini integrated into the operating system, their phone can now understand the context of the email history with your company, their calendar, and their preferences, and then use Gemini to draft a complex inquiry to your support team. Apple isn't just playing with Google. They're doing this to kill the momentum of OpenAI and ChatGPT. They want to be the platform of platforms. If you're a business owner asking which LLM should I go with, the answer is no longer about picking one engine. It's about picking the ecosystem that fits with your workflows. We aren't choosing models anymore. We're choosing ecosystems. You don't buy an engine. You buy a car that it's built into. As always, it's time for a Tech Reality Score. It's time to score the Apple Gemini integration. We're grading this based on the announced features and the reality of enterprise deployment. Ease of use. I'm going to give it a 9. Apple excels at making complex tech feel invisible to the end user. If this works as promised, you won't even know that you're using Gemini. It'll just feel like Siri finally went to grad school. Functionality and features, I'm going to give it an 8. Combining Apple's on-device processing with Google's cloud power is a massive leap in capability. Integrations and compatibility, 7. It's great if you're in the Apple ecosystem, but it still feels like a walled garden for everyone else. Value for cost, 9. For most users, this is a free upgrade to hardware they already own. It's an incredible value proposition compared to the $20 a month separate subscription cost. Scalability and long-term viability, 6. We're still pretty early here. Will Apple allow Google to have too much control? Will Google pull the plug if they feel Apple is taking too much credit? The giant versus giant tension makes long term stability a bit of a question mark. Final score 39 out of 50. Final verdict. I know it scores in our execution ready tier. However, because we're so early, it's definitely in the worth exploring category. It's not execution ready for mission critical enterprise backend work yet, but for individual productivity, customer facing experiences, definitely a game changer. The bottom line here, Apple's Gemini move isn't about which AI model is smarter, it's about control. They are proving that winning with AI comes from system design, governance, and execution, not just from tracing the newest, shiniest engine. Siri is finally getting the upgrade it needed because Apple stayed focused on the usability and the ownership of the stack. That's the same problems we solve at Cezanne. We don't just chase the newest AI model, we help companies design AI ready systems that scale, stay secure, and don't collapse when the next giant moves the goalposts. If you're building with AI and you want it done the right way, focused on execution over hype, visit us at Cezanne.com and let's talk. Till next time, I'm John.